In a world where hypnosis podcasts come and go, one man is here to deliver a knockout, no-holds-barred approach and deliver electrifying interviews with the world's top experts so you can discover the secrets to their success. Introducing the Hawaii Hypnosis Podcast. Subscribe to the newsletter and get instant access to 4 free skill-building audios that utilize a revolutionary hypnotic approach to improve your skills from the inside out. It's practically bulletproof. As a member of Hawaii Hypnosis, you'll join the ranks of the movers and shakers in the hypnosis and NLP community and discover how to significantly improve your skills from the inside out.
Aloha, folks. This is Antonio Perez with HawaiiHypnosis.org. Today, I've got Scott Sandlin, the creator of hypnothoughts and goal-oriented hypnotherapy, on the podcast. Aloha, Scott. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Anthony. How you doing?
Good. It's taken quite a while to get this podcast off the ground.
It really has. You and I have talked about doing this for a long time now. We haven't been able to make it happen. I'm glad we finally did.
Yeah, and I recently heard that you're getting married sometime soon. So I knew that if I didn't do it now, it would take forever.
Yeah, I'm getting married in 4 months or something like that, and yeah, I can only imagine my schedule is going to get more complicated once that happens.
Just your wife-to-be, her name's Meredith, right?
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't let her hear this podcast. You're like, I think the wedding's around this date. I'm not quite sure. I think it's 2012.
I've got the date down. I'm not subtracting from where we are now to that date necessarily well.
When it's don't worry. I'm pretty sure your boss will let you know when it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's in November we're getting married, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's fun. A nice fall wedding in California is a nice thing.
Now, I know how you got started in hypnosis. Would you mind telling my audience how you could say you accidentally got started in hypnosis?
Yeah, I mean, basically the long story short was I was in a car accident that really hurt, and I ended up on pavement, and, did a lot of damage to my body. And I was about 18 years old at the time. And hypnosis was the only thing that made the pain go away, is the long story short. And I was completely skeptical. I didn't believe in it, but, it worked. And when you're in pain, you're desperate. And I was willing to try anything, and hypnosis was the thing that helped me. And, it helped improve my quality of life so much, I've been doing it ever since.
I remember when I was in Long Beach, I was talking to you, and you had offered to help me with a little bit of pain control for my tooth. I don't think we ever got around to it. And I wasn't aware that it was actually an accident that had caused you to become you're one of the youngest board certified?
Yeah, in 98 or 99, something like that, 1998, 1999, the IMDHA said I was the youngest certified hypnotist on earth.
That's a good title to wear.
Yeah, it doesn't last long. A year or two later, it was somebody else, but it was me for a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of really young hypnotists out there now, like Leo, Nathan Thomas.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, especially with with the internet and YouTube and all that. It's a lot of people are coming in and can find it easily. You talk to Brian David Phillips and people like that. And when they were growing up and interested in hypnosis, they had to go to the library and find books on it.
Yeah, what are those? Right,
and now they're just any teenager who's interested in finding out more about hypnosis. There's websites like hypnothoughts or YouTube or whatever where there's just a ton of free demonstrations and examples that make it easy to get started. And like you said, there are people like Leo or Nathan Thomas or whoever it is, and you can look at their stuff and say, wow, I can do this. I mean, when I was getting into this, and I was, maybe when I was 20 to 25 years old, I didn't know anybody under the age of 40 who was doing hypnosis. And it was very weird, and then a guy named Topher Morrison showed up, and I saw him, and I said, I don't know how much older he is than I am, but he's older than I am, but he was under 40, and I saw that, and I said, oh my gosh, I can do this. I don't have to wait till I'm 40 to be taken seriously.
Yeah, it's all based on your skill level, not your age.
Right.
Now, hypnothoughts, that's one of, in my opinion, one of the best hypnosis resources on the planet, bar none. How did HypnoThoughts come to be?
It was another accident. It's really a combination of a few things. One is the IMDHA Mentor Group, which I'm on the board of directors for the International Medical and Dental Hypnotherapy Association, and they've been great to me for a long time. And they have a Yahoo group, and before things like HypnoThoughts, there were a lot of Yahoo groups, and there still are some. But they had a Yahoo group for their mentor program, and I was first being mentored in that by Jim Duncan and Michael Elner, and then I became a mentor for that program, and was on the other side of it. And I saw that the technology of a Yahoo group is old and pretty stagnant. And I became aware of newer technology, stuff like video and live chat and other resources. And, I put something together, and then, I tried to convince Bob and Linda Otto to use it. And they said, no, we want to stick with our Yahoo group. And so I didn't really do much with it. And I just sort of sat on this website. And, I built it and played with it. And it was just sort of this side project. And I kept playing with it, and it wasn't working, And, it would work, but people didn't like it, and people didn't like it, and I was modifying things, and it didn't really get any traction. And then, it's sort of weird the way things like this happen. A friend of mine who's a hypnotist passed away, and I just wrote this sort of eulogy to her. And the only thing, I didn't have a blog, I didn't have anything, and so I just posted it on this website that I had that was called HypnoThoughts, and there were 6 members or something like that. It wasn't really a site. It was just something that I'd done, and a few friends of mine had joined it just to give me feedback. And Janet Macy she was a mentor of mine who passed away. And the eulogy I wrote, a lot of other people wanted to read it, and a lot of people wanted to share their thoughts. And so all these people just started showing up, and adding their 2 cents to their thoughts about Janet, who was an amazing woman and a really thoughtful hypnotist, who was a real student of the work and went to conferences all the time, and really hammered into me the idea of always keep learning. And because of that, she had met so many people at all these conferences over the years, and everyone respected how humble she was, and her commitment to really continuing to learn. And so because of that, all these people showed up, and then all of a sudden, I went from having 6 people on it to having, 30 or 40, and the rest is history. It just started running away with itself from there.
You created HypnoThoughts, was it 2007, I believe, or 2008?
We're coming up on its 5-year birthday in a month or two, so it must have been 2007.
Yeah, I vaguely remember when I used to live in Michigan. I used to live in Detroit. I remember joining it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came out to Hawaii, I remember when I came to Hawaii, my idea was, I was thinking, it's Hawaii. There's got to be trainings there. Well, little did I know there is nothing out here.
Right.
So pretty much, if it wasn't for HypnoThoughts, I really doubt I would have even really pursued getting into hypnosis to do hypnotherapy or anything. So definitely thanks, because if it wasn't for this resource, I would be on an island of 60,000 people and no hypnosis.
Well, you're welcome, I guess. I don't know if I should take credit for that. Hypnosis HypnoThoughts is a really cool site. I really do love it. But I don't take any ego in it. I really don't, because it is about the members. And the reason the site is good is because people show up every day. And we have, 1,700 people show up every single day. And most of them don't write anything. An overwhelming majority of people who show up on HypnoThoughts only read. And that's cool. I love that. And there are websites that I go to every day that I'm not a member of. I just go, read certain sites. And I know what that's like, and I know what it's like to get a lot out of something without actually, saying anything or wanting to contribute or even wanting to go through the process of creating an account, which is a lot of people. And I love that, the small percentage, actually, of the 1,700 contribute. And they ask questions, and they get engaged, and we create these relationships. And it's really fun to see those. And it's fun to have gone to conferences and go to trainings and to just meet other hypnotists out in the world. Like, you and I met in Long Beach 6 months ago or whatever it was. It was, it's cool to get to shake hands and to when you meet someone in person for the first time, you have this whole subtext of who they are. By the time I had met, Richard Nongard for the first time, we had talked for a couple of years and had, just had phone calls and emails and all that. So it creates these communities, which is really, I think, where communication in the world is going, is making it easier for us to educate each other and exchange ideas.
Oh, that's one of the. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say, so with all honesty, HypnoThoughts is about me being in the right place at the right time. It isn't as much about me being the guy who came up with something that nobody else could come up with. I just got there first. And it was an idea that's time had come, and the technology was at the right place in the right time, and I'm the guy who did it. But, if I hadn't done it, a month later somebody else would have. But it was me. Yeah,
but believe me, I personally know how much work goes into a forum. I had for a while I wanted to run a forum on my Hawaii Hypnosis, the HawaiiHypnosis.org website. I wanted to connect it was a huge undertaking. I wanted to connect the comments with the blog posts with the forum and those comments. It was just a huge pain in the butt. And after like a couple months of work, I got like 10 people that registered. Finally, I was like, I'm scrapping this. I'm not even going to bother with doing a forum.
Yeah, it is more work than people know. It really is. It's setting the thing up, and that's one of the things that I joke about when people ask me if I'm worried about competition. It would be stupid for someone to try to create another HypnoThoughts because it's so much work for no money, and it's such a bad business model. I don't do it for money, obviously. The whole thing's free, and I make my money seeing clients, and I love hypnosis. I love the people I've met through it, and so I'm absolutely happy to create a site and a resource that just lets people have fun together.
Join the ranks of the movers and shakers in the hypnosis and NLP community. Subscribe to the newsletter and discover why this podcast is taking the world by storm.
For anybody listening to this, I would like to suggest that if you like what Scott provides with HypnoThoughts, donate. Because believe me, it's really hard to run a site. Like even running the HawaiiHypnosis.org website, I don't make any money off the podcast as of yet, and anytime if I try to make money off it, people get offended, but they don't realize how much work that goes into it. So you can go to hypnothoughts.com. All the way at the bottom, there's a donation button. Go ahead and donate a couple dollars, because I guarantee you the amount of free information you get there, most places you would be, some slick marketer would be using some catchy headline trying to make a couple bucks, where you can get it for free.
Well, thank you. The thing about HypnoThoughts is anytime it makes money, that money goes right back into the site. Like the calendar I just built for people to post any upcoming trainings and events that they're having for only $2, and things like that. Fixing the store, playing with this member map, all these different resources that we're doing. I'm busy seeing clients. The way I do this is I hire programmers. And I hire programmers to build these things, and it's not cheap. But you know what? It's a lot of it is stuff that the industry should have. This stuff. The industry should have this stuff that's not connected to any organization, and it's not political, and it's just free. And I want to provide that. I sort of, like a lot of other people, I was waiting for someone to do it, and finally I got sick of waiting and just screw it, I'll do it. And so. Just trust that if anybody ever does donate, I promise that money's not going towards my vacations and glamorous lifestyle. It is going towards, it's going right back to you guys. And that's the beauty of HypnoThoughts, is that it really truly is about the members. And I mean that so sincerely. And I work hard at making sure that everything we're doing is member oriented and for the good of the industry, and not something that is self-serving.
So you're actually saying that the money that people donate isn't going to your personal Glenn Levitt fund?
I don't think I could afford Glenlivet with the donations I get.
That's pretty bad.
That's fine. It really is. Hypnothoughts is a hobby for me. If this was a business, I would have turned it off years ago. It's a terrible business, but it's really fun. It's a cool little hobby. Other people have like model airplanes or a ship in a bottle or a stamp collection or whatever it is, and I just have Hypnothoughts. And it's my little thing that I can just tinker with and play with, and it's neat.
Yeah, that's the thing about hypnotists. We are a unique bunch of people.
Sure.
With the good you get the bad, and with the bad you get the good.
Yeah, and Hypnothoughts. It really is impressive, the population of Hypnothoughts, how nice most people are. And there's disagreements and fights every once in a while, but it's really pretty rare, and they get solved pretty easily. And overwhelmingly, you're getting people who actually are helping exchange ideas. And the majority of visitors are just the readers who aren't writing things, and I think they get a lot even out of those disagreements. So it's cool.
I don't know. I think pretty much, I don't want to say everybody, but there's a good amount of people on the site that have been involved in some kind of tip or argument at one point or another. I know you probably sat, I know for a fact, probably numerous times you're sitting there going, oh God, why did you do that? I'm sure you've done that with a lot of people. You're looking going, oh my God, why did you do that? And the thing I like about this website is you're not, I've only seen maybe something being censored once or twice if it's gotten way out of hand, and you pretty much leave it to people to censor themselves, and it's a good, self-sufficient community.
Yeah, I mean, we're all grown-ups here. We don't need, me to put people on timeout and to, smack people on the wrist and things like that. The whole idea of Hypnothoughts is, to let grown-ups be grown-ups and to communicate that way. The only thing we really censor and moderate is breaking the advertising policy. We don't let people, spam the blogs and the discussion groups, and that's the thing that we do work on, and we watch every video before it's posted, and we moderate and go through every profile before it's approved. And because of that, it keeps all this 99.9% of the spam off the site. And I think that's important. And because I hate going on websites where people are covertly spamming or trying to promote their stuff, and it's such a turnoff that I think that was a big difference between Hypnothoughts and a lot of other websites, is how effective our advertising policy really is, and how it's designed to benefit the members and organize the ads that in such a way that benefits the people who do want to legitimately and respectfully advertise.
In speaking about advertisements, I was talking to Scott yesterday because I have some things I would like to eventually advertise on the site. And if you're interested, if you want to, say if you have a training or a product you want to advertise on Hypnothoughts, it's extremely affordable to be able to hit a mass of, it's 10,000 members now, I think?
Over that, yeah. We're coming up on 11,000.
If somebody wants to advertise on Hypnothoughts, to have a banner, how much is advertisement?
The ad is $100.
$100 a month, folks. That's really affordable.
People think I'm absolutely insane. I'm charging something, 3 years ago, Google said I was charging 1/8 what I was supposed to be charging, and the site's only gotten more traffic since then. But my idea is I want it to be affordable for the people who need it. And I want people who are in the middle of, putting on their 5th training to be able to advertise on this site. And if you can't afford $100 for an ad, put up $2 and put it on the calendar. It's so cheap. I want this to be a place where everybody can go and make it easy to find out what's going on in hypnosis. So I'm trying to keep the prices low as possible, so that we can do that. And so far this year, in terms of ad impressions, we're halfway through the year right now, and we've had a little over 3 million ad views. So if you just think about 3 million views, there aren't very many hypnosis websites that are going to help you get that kind of attention.
No, and if you only have like a 5% conversion rate, that's still making a killing.
Yeah, And at $100, if you've got a training going on, if you sell one seat because of hypnothoughts, you're profitable. And that was part of our idea, was we want this thing to be obviously profitable for people. We're not trying to get rich off it, but we are trying to make sure it's, for the calendar, if you're not willing to spend $2 on something and to let everybody know about it, it's probably not something that should be on the calendar. And I want the calendar to be useful. I don't want people to just throw up, their niece's piano recital on there. So I want stuff that you are serious about. So $2 for that, $100 for an ad. And I think those prices make it so the stuff in those ads is worth considering. At least that's the goal. And we're always listening and asking for feedback. And most people tell us that we should be charging more, but I'm not gonna.
You know what? Good thing you're running it, because if it was me, I would probably be charging more for an ad.
Well, like I said, this isn't a business. I don't look at this as a business model. I only look at it as a hobby. And if I was looking at this as a business, I would be charging, I'd be charging Richard Nongard and HMI and anybody else who, is making a lot of money on the internet. I'd be charging them a boatload, and they would be able to afford it, but then nobody else would be able to get an ad, and that's not fun. It's more fun to see someone put up their first ad and send me a thank you letter saying, hey, I got 3 conversions because of your site, and have a person say, I went to this training that I heard of through you. I think that's so fun. That's just such a cool experience. So that's why I do it.
One of my favorite parts about hypnothoughts are the individual groups. Hypnosis is a broad niche, then you have the individual niches. The groups help to break everything down to individual niches, and that's what makes hypnothoughts extremely unique, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. The groups were always what I thought were going to drive hypnothoughts, and it didn't for a long time. And I was really surprised by that, and I thought I was just wrong. And I remember I was at HMI, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and they were asking me about hypnothoughts. And I said to them, I think the groups are the most underutilized part of the site. And in the last year or so, that sort of started to change. And there's a lot more activity going on in the groups. And I think there should be. There's 400 groups or so on the site, and anybody can create a group. And if you create a group, it's your sandbox. You can do whatever you want. We don't moderate the groups at all. You get to run your own group. And obviously that's totally free to do. And people create all sorts of groups. There's groups for different languages. There's a group for people who only speak German or only speak French and things like that. And then a lot of instructors will create a group. And it allows them to stay in touch with their students a little bit more easily. And what I do is I have a group for my classes. And anytime I go teach a class at a conference or at a course that I'm offering or anything else, I put the handouts in my group. And that way, if anybody says, oh, can I get the handouts, I already have them up in a PDF on the site, and they can just go get them. And I don't have to worry about emailing people or making enough at Kinko's or anything like that. It's easy. And there's a lot of other people who are doing it that way. And I think it's just it's an easy use of the technology that rounds out the experience more. It just gives everybody more options. And I'm really happy to see what's going on with the groups now.
Yeah, on the same subject, I've created a couple groups. I think my two most favorite groups, mm-hmm. and the most popular ones, or the one I can think of, was the Skype hypnosis group. So if anybody's interested in hypnosis via Skype and learning more about it and networking with people, you can look. I think it's Skypnosis, or just search Skype hypnosis. You'll find the group, and there's a lot of us that like Skype hypnosis works really good for people that are in geographically kind of landlocked places like Hawaii. There's nothing. I can drive around the island in a couple hours, and then boom, I'm done. So definitely, Skype as a medium can definitely help. And I made one other group. I think it was hypnosis product reviews, where I'm going to start eventually reviewing hypnosis products. Yeah, and there's already a group for book reviews that exists. And you're doing one for more just general products for all sorts of things. Yeah, if I find the time. Yeah, exactly. In all of your free time, you can do that. Yeah, in my free time, and then even the work I do for podcasts and everything, like I said, people don't realize it's a lot of work, and I do that in my free time, and I guess you can make it double free time, so I don't get paid for it.
Right. That's welcome to the game. It's a fun game. Don't look at it like a business or you'll quit.
Oh, I know. It's something fun. I found out that I can charge for them. It's just the people that do end up paying for them, I think they value them a lot more if they throw me a couple dollars.
Well, I think that's true. And that's one of the things that people have talked to me about with hypnothoughts over the years is, you've got 10,000 members. If you could get everybody to give you $1 a month, you'd make $10,000 a month on hypnothoughts. And for $1, that's nothing for what you get. But it's a different thing with the community than it would be with a product. And even though there's a lot of content on hypnothoughts, I think for a podcast or something like that, yeah, I mean, do whatever you want to do with your business model, obviously. But most people on the internet are just used to getting things for free. Google has trained us really well that you get stuff for free, and Facebook has trained us really well that you get stuff for free. So I think people are just used to that paradigm. And it's going to be real interesting to see what happens from here and what those business models look like.
Exactly. Free. It's like, oh, you're trying to sell something to me? No, I'm good. You already gave me stuff for free.
Yeah, they'll just get what you can give them for free, and then they'll go to the next place and get what they can get for free there.
You said that HypnoThoughts has a birthday coming up.
It does in August.
Are there any kind of announcements that you can say now of upcoming features for the website?
Yeah, there's a couple features I'm working on right now. The first one is I got to fix the member map directory, the Find a Hypnotist thing. That was an old feature that I built a couple years ago, and the people didn't really utilize it, but that was years ago when HypnoThoughts was so small. But people were asking for it when I asked for feedback recently, so I decided to turn it back on. And there's a little hiccup in the code somewhere that I got to find. But once I fix that, which shouldn't be too difficult, then there's a few other things that are on that list. One of the things I want to do is improve the search function of the site, because right now the search isn't very good. So before I make new cool stuff, I want to fix the old stuff, and search is high on my list. So I'm going to fix the search feature so that it's more useful, because right now it's just not. And there's so much content on the site. Just thousands and thousands of pages worth of stuff that it needs a better search engine. So that's first and foremost. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on mobile. And I'm going to build things out and change the way this site works on iPhones and Android phones and all that, so it's a little bit more mobile friendly. And those are the two, simple projects I have for the summer for the site. That and obviously focusing on the online school that we've created with HPTI, and those are on my to-do list, with a few other little pet projects and side projects that I won't say until I know if I can make them work or not yet.
Yes, you don't want to let people down. You tell somebody about something, and then they're like, okay, where is it? And if you don't follow through, then they lose the trust. Yeah,
I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I still got to fix the store too, and the store has been a very hard thing to do. The real difficulty of the store is, and it sounds stupid, the hardest part about the store is not taking a commission. All of the software for the store would be done if I would just take a commission from every sale, but since I don't want to, there isn't shopping cart software that will allow me to organize all this stuff without taking a commission. And I know that sounds weird and it shouldn't be that way, but trust me, I've spent 4 years trying to find this software. And in a way that will organize all the international shipments and taxes and VAT tax and all these different things from all these different countries. And it's just, I'm basically trying to rebuild Amazon. And that one is that thing I bit off maybe a little bit more than I could chew, and it's been a big project. And I know it can get finished, and I know it can get relaunched, but it's, I want it to be done correct, not just be done with. So I pulled it down after a year of doing it one way, so that I could learn from my mistakes and do it better. If you want the Hypno store to come back, the Hypnosis store will be back very soon.
I'm glad you're doing that and not me, because the coding, it drives me nuts. I just found out something wasn't working on my site yesterday for like week I wasn't getting newsletter subscribers, and it dawned on me that one of the plugins was wrong for an opt-in form. So it's basically back up this, do this, try to change this code, do this, do that. It's such a hassle. And that's only for...
No question, the Hypno Store is the hardest thing I've ever built. You know, significantly harder than the Hypno Summits, significantly harder than hypnothoughts, any of the other things that I've been a part of or helped work on. The store is the most complex thing with the most moving parts. So I'm really excited to be done with that one. Oh man, when I finish that, I'm going to I'll be really, really happy.
Yeah, it seems like I've helped you with the Hypno Summit before, and that was a lot of work, probably because of your programmers being in another country and having time zone difference and everything. And I mean, that was a lot of work for me. Mainly a lot of data entry. I can only imagine how hard the Hypno Store is.
Yeah, the Hypno Store, I mean, it's, you know, building a separate interface and a separate store for every person so that they get all the money sent directly to them, not to me that I hold on to for, you know, and pay them out monthly or quarterly or anything like that. But setting it up so all the money goes directly to them is something that shopping cart software isn't actually designed to do. It's designed to all go through one person. They take a commission and then pay you. And it would be very easy if I only had digital goods. You know, if we were only selling MP3s and PDFs, it'd be easy. But because we're selling tangible things, digital things, and sellers in different countries and customers in different countries, it all just gets very weird very fast. And if you try to look at the flow charts on how it all works, very quickly you run out of room on the page. So I'm really happy with where it is as a work in progress. It's obviously behind schedule, but you know, it's just how long is a piece of string? You know, you just keep going and going with it. So.
Exactly. You're eventually going to be able to knit a full sweater from that string.
Yeah, that is that store.
You're listening to the Hawaii Hypnosis Podcast. Can I ask you to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes by going to hawaiihypnosis.org/iTunes and give us a 5-star rating.
Another thing that I really like about HypnoThoughts is it doesn't push any one certifying body. You don't have the NGH, ACHE, I believe it is.
You know, IMDHA, ABH, IACT, IHF, AAPH. There's a whole bunch of organizations. You know, ICBCH. I don't think I mentioned that one. You know, maybe even too many to keep track of. And HypnoThoughts plays well with them. And, you know, there's members from all of those that are part of HypnoThoughts, and that's cool. And you know, some of the heads of those organizations are members. You know, Shelley Stockwell from IHF, and Gil Boyne, when he was alive, was on there, and John Butler's on there. And you know, the organizations are cool, and the organizations have a job, and HypnoThoughts has a different job. And I think for the most part, that's recognized. You know, Richard Nongard from ICBCH, you know, he gets a lot of benefit for his organization out of HypnoThoughts. And you were mentioning the groups earlier. And the ICBCH group on HypnoThoughts is one of the most active groups on the site. And, you know, it's nice that HypnoThoughts can be neutral. You know, I was just on vacation in Sweden, so I'm very familiar with being neutral.
Yeah.
But yeah, the HypnoThoughts being neutral and not being about any of the organizations. You know, I am on the board of directors, like I said, for the IMDHA, but if you look on the site, there's very little news about the IMDHA on there, and it's not about pushing any of those agendas. It's about you know, just letting hypnotists be hypnotists, and not about feuding tribes and saying, well, what color hat do you wear? Oh, you guys, you hypnotists wear a blue hat and a yellow, you know, ribbon, and you guys wear green hats, and the blue hat guys don't hang out with the green hat guys, and it's silly. We're all hypnotists who want to help each other, and we're all hypnotists who want to help our clients, and we can learn a lot from each other if we stop trying to figure out who's going to get paid for it.
You're right. Like you wear that hat, you wear this button, you wear that button. There's a lot of drama.
Buttons are a real source of drama this week. I didn't anticipate that being the case, but yeah, buttons became real source of issues. The hot button issue. Yeah, that happened. But what are you going to do? You can't. Best intentions.
Yeah, you kind of just brush it off as BS.
Yeah, I mean, you can't please everybody, and there's always someone who's going to get bent out of shape about something, and, a member of the site came up with a really good idea, and Bill was smart to come up with it, and I liked his idea, and so we pushed it. We said, yes, let's greenlight this idea, and let's get the community on board and working on it together, and, some people didn't like it, and, one organization doesn't like something, we can't be trying to please the organizations all the time. Our goal is to be independent from the organizations and to support the people, not the societies. And it's about the actual hypnotists who do work, not about the clubs and which club are you a member of.
Yeah, who's got the fanciest car, etc.
Yeah, who's got the fanciest logo.
Exactly. Speaking of clubs, what can you say about the NGH?
And their convention coming up, I have no comment about it. Yeah, that's probably the best move is about the NGH. I have no comment. I'd rather talk about any other organization than them.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Now,
yeah, like I said, I'm a member of the IMDHA, and ICBCH has a real active group on hypnothoughts. ACHE with now John Butler doing a lot of the stuff there. Hypnothoughts just had a booth at their last conference, and it was a lot of fun. We had a booth, and we had a projection screen showing what was going on in hypnothoughts in real time, and got to meet a lot of hypnotists. It was really fun to shake hands with those people, and it was interesting to see how many of them had never heard of hypnothoughts. And people were coming up saying, wait, so what is this and how much does it cost? We said, no, really, it's free. We're not selling you anything. And people were coming up to our booth saying, so what do I buy here? We said, nothing. We sell nothing at this booth. We're just letting you know about it. And they were really kind of confused by why we were spending money just to let people know about something that doesn't cost any money. But it was neat. And, IHF with Shelley Stockwell, I just spoke at their conference this last year as well. And there's other groups, like the Mid-America Hypnosis Conference is a really cool conference because it's not affiliated with any organization at all. So it's neutral, and it's just a place for people to come learn. So I think it's a wonderful thing for people to be aware of. And that's in Chicago, and there's a guy named Carm who runs the show over there, and talk about a nice guy who really just wants to help people. Carm is just first place. He's so welcoming and helpful to people who are looking to improve the hypnosis community. So Mid-America is another great conference that I love attending and speaking at. So yeah, there's a lot of great options out there.
So yeah, you were just talking about how people are coming up and they're wondering why you're giving everything away for free. My guess is that they're probably so preconditioned to the backroom sales, all the trainings people have, this product, that product. You got to buy this. If you don't buy this, you're not going to be successful.
Right. Well, I can say this in response to that. I can say I have never sold anything in the back of a room. All the lectures I've ever given at all the conferences, all the classes I've ever taught, I have never sold a single item in the back of the room. And I've left thousands and thousands of dollars on the table. And I've been in rooms where I've given the keynote, and the guy who gave a 20-minute talk made $5,000 in the back of the room, and I gave a keynote and didn't sell anything. And that's happened to me more than once. And I don't want to be that guy. And I have no problem with the guys who do that. Richard Nongard and William Mitchell and Melissa Roth, these are friends of mine. They're respected peers. It's not my model. I think too often we're building things with these back ends, and we're building things. And you look at the organizations, and they're based on a conflict of interest often, where the person who's in charge of standards is also the person who's getting paid for how many people show up. And when you look at things like that, I think it's not what our industry needs. It's people who see that there's a problem and say, I'm not going to try to fix this. I'm going to take care of my family, and I respect that. I'm like I said, I'm about to get married, and maybe all this will change as soon as I get married and have a kid, and I'll say screw everybody. I'm taking care of me. And that's
I'm
fine.
a millionaire. I need to make millions to take care of my family.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll want to stop leaving that money on the table. But right now, I have a really simple lifestyle. I love what I do. I see clients, and I can afford to not do that. And I don't want people to think I'm telling them things so they'll buy stuff. And I don't want people to think that the reason I showed up was to sell them stuff, because it's not. The reason I show up at these things is to make friends. And the reason I show up at these things is to help hypnosis. And I would rather make a difference than make a dollar. And that's it. Really, at the end of the day, I would rather make a difference than make a dollar. And I think that's important to the industry. I think that's important for enough people to do it, a critical mass of people. And I think I'm far from the only one. I don't want to sound like I'm the awesome guy and everybody else sucks. I'm far from the only one who thinks this. And there's different strategies. I could be way wrong. But I just think it makes things clearer and cleaner if that's the way I am. And if I'm consistent with that, people can trust it. That I don't sell things in the back of the room. It's just, I don't. And I don't upsell people on things. That's not to say I've never sold anything. I've hypnothoughts sold a script book, and I have a DVD set, and I have a school, but I don't push them and I don't promote them, and that's not why I'm doing this. And I decided a long time ago I would never have my income be based on hypnotists. My income will be based on seeing clients, and that's what I want to do. And if you look at how much our school, right now to be a student of our school for 700 hours of training over the course of a year with internship and testing every week and all sorts of online, live, in person, all these different things, it's $2,000 for a year. And and
that's really affordable.
And 50% of that money goes to everybody else before me. And then the remaining 50%, Richard Clark and I split after expenses. We don't give the instructors 50% of the net. We give them 50% of the gross right off the top. So I make more money in a week seeing clients than I make in a year off a student, because I don't want to make my money off hypnotists. Hypnotists are struggling right now. Hypnotists have a great modality and a terrible profession. And I don't think it's okay for people who make money seeing clients to try to get rich off other hypnotists. We don't need to, be fighting for each other's scraps. Let's actually work together and do what all the other professions have done and learn how to get taken seriously, rather than, I'll get mine. Because who does that? So that's really, my philosophy on all this stuff. Is I want to be of service and I want to make a difference. I don't want to make a dollar off you. I don't want to try to figure out ways to, convince you to part with money. Sure, I do want, if I'm doing something that's valuable, you should pay for it. And if you want to do, that's cool. And if not, that's obviously fine too. But if you look at it, I'm trying to get all this stuff to pay for itself, and that's it. The school pays for itself. These things I build on hypnothoughts don't quite, but maybe they will someday, pay for themselves. And if I can just have this stuff bankroll itself, the progress, the change, and all that always stays sincere. Because as soon as it's a money-making enterprise, I have to look at it differently. I have to look at my relationships with these people, and if someone gets mad at me, will that change my financial situation? Or can I not say something because it might hurt my financial situation? And I don't want hypnothoughts to have to make those decisions. I think it's an ethics issue that I don't want to get into, which is why all these things, my goal is to always have them bankroll themselves.
Yeah, that's a great philosophy to live by, to where you're not asking somebody for, let's say somebody might want to give you money. You're basically giving to people first, and if somebody likes something enough, they're going to return it. If it's not monetarily, it might be kind words. Maybe they might refer
a pay it forward.
Yeah. Now about the backroom sales,
mm-hmm.
I don't know much about the medical profession, but I'm pretty sure, it's my guess that any let's say dental conventions, psychiatric conventions, etc., they're probably not allowed to, and my guess probably legally they're not allowed to push products in the back of the room.
It's interesting because at all those events, and I'm a speaker at some of those events. I've been a presenter for Pain Week or the Trigeminal Neuralgia Association and a few other things in dental things. And when I've been there are vendors there. There's pharmaceutical companies, or there's someone who's created a new, mouth guard for people who grind their teeth, whatever it is, or a new surgery, and they're there promoting this new surgery for something. And there will be vendors who have booths, but those aren't the presentations. And the they do their best, at the good ones anyway, the ones I've attended, to separate those things. And the presentations are academic and educational. The presentations aren't commercials. And I don't want, when I'm giving a class to be just doing an infomercial.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, exactly. But wait, there's more.
Yeah, you don't have to be.
If you sign up today, I'll give the same thing to you for the low price of, and all that.
Yeah, but if you come back 2 days from now, I'll still honor the price. I'll go against my moral code and still offer you that same price.
Yeah, let me talk to my supervisor. That whole thing.
Join the ranks of the movers and shakers in the hypnosis and NLP community. Subscribe to the newsletter and discover why this podcast is taking the world by storm.
With the certifying bodies, it seems like they do a really good job of keeping people misguided as to what's really going on.
Well, it's not necessarily that the organizations are intentionally misguiding people. It's that people are wrong. And the organizations are doing what they are supposed to do. Those are for-profit companies that are making money for the heads of the organization, for the owners. And the same way I make money seeing my clients, they make money getting members. That's their job. Their job is to get members. And so they offer services that help people want to be a part of their organization, and that's cool, And they figure out better or different membership benefits. But to think that one organization is actually more prestigious than the other is silly. That's like saying that AMCO is more prestigious than Jiffy Lube. They're just two companies that provide a service, and if you find one you like, you use it. And the organizations are designed so that they make money when people join when they get certified. So because of that, the certification standards, Larry Ellman explained this perfectly in a post today or yesterday on hypnothoughts. That was, if you make the hours 50 hours for certification, you're going to have terrible hypnotists, but you're going to have a ton of money. If you make the standard 600 hours, you're going to have much better trained hypnotists, but you're going to have a lot fewer of them, and so your organization's going to have less cash. So every organization has to figure out where on that sort of spectrum and in that bell curve they want to be. And it's not my place or your place or anybody's place to say where someone should put that and how they should do their job and run their business. And I would never tell someone how to run their business unless they asked me to. But it's an interesting situation, and it's rare, and it's unique to hypnosis, because the American Medical Association, American Psychological Association, or any of those other organizations don't do things that way. And that's a big thing, and why we as an industry aren't taken seriously is because of that. And it is something that should be looked at, I think, in our industry, and should be reevaluated. And if I created, years ago I thought about starting an organization, but we don't need more organizations. And the only reason I would create one is, someday I might have one. Who knows? I'm younger than all the presidents of the other organizations. Maybe they'll just give them to me, or I'll buy them or something like that. I don't know. But if I did, the first thing I'd want to do is do it right and give it back to the members. So there would be actual votes for who's on the board of directors, and they would change every 2 years, and there'd be terms, and the president wouldn't get a commission, and nobody would get commissions. You can't have commissions in a nonprofit that way. It's got to be set up so there is no conflict of interest. Because if I say to you, Antonio, you're in charge of inviting people to the party. So you and I are going to have a party. You decide who comes. You decide who gets let in and who doesn't. And by the way, I'll give you $100 for every person who's in the door. You're going to let any bum off the street walk in that door. But if I say to you, Antonio, you're in charge of running the door at this party, and if this event is great and everybody loves it, I'll give you a bonus based on success and doing your job right, not based on promotion. You're going to have a whole different group of people in that party. And right now, every hypnosis organization is set up with that problem. And that's not because they're evil, and that's not because they're stupid, and it's not because they are trying to deceive anybody. It's just the business model that is pervasive in this industry. And, like I said, I'm friends with a lot of the presidents of the organization. I speak at their conferences, and I have a lot of respect for them professionally and personally. And I just think that this is something that our industry has made a mistake on. And maybe I'm Don Quixote, tilting at windmills. But, Shelley, I like her. Robert and Linda Otto, I like them. Gil, I like them. And Richard Nongard, I like him. All those things. And it's interesting to see. And it's interesting to see how that should be done. And I think Nongard with ICBCH has done it slightly differently. But that's I won't get into it because his is mostly licensed people, not lay hypnotists. So it's different. But still, in general, I think it's an interesting thing that our industry has come up with for how we decide who should be a hypnotist and who shouldn't.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of anybody failing a certification?
I've heard of people having. Very, very few. What is much more common in this industry is when someone doesn't do well in the test, they get shown what they've done wrong and they get to take the test again. An hour later or less. And
so it's fresh.
Not a real test.
It's fresh in the memory.
Yeah, well, it's practically here. Change the rest of your answers are fine. Just change these. It's not retaking the test. It's correcting the test.
I'm going to hold your hand while you change this answer.
Right. Your open book test, your open note test here, use my notes, they're better. But again, that's the problem with it being for-profit. Because someone says, well, I'm a hypnosis school, and if people keep failing my class, then no one will take my class anymore. If they paid me, I have a duty to certify them or to pass them. And I don't know why that's been the way our industry has set things up, but we have.
You have a duty to keep their potential clients, their students' clients safe.
That's what I think. You talk to the people going to our school at HPTI, and a lot of people have not passed tests or gotten a C on a test and things like that. And we have a GPA, and we have just a running grades. And there are students who don't get A's and B's. We have students who people fail tests. And we say, you failed this test. You have to retake this class. And because that's how school should work, because that's how school should be. And I think it's amazing that we have an industry that says, come sit in this other person's living room for a weekend or go to this hotel for 5 days and get a career out of it. That's not a career. I don't know. It takes a long time to learn how to repair refrigerators. And it takes thousands of hours to get certified to cut hair, and that stuff grows back. And for some reason, we decided that hypnosis doesn't need that because of that conflict of interest, which is why I'd like to, I'd like to see that change. And I don't know.
What do you? Don't worry, you're not on a soapbox. What do you think about the notion that a lot of the mainstream organizations like the AMA, the ADA, etc., want to keep hypnosis from becoming mainstream? What do you think about? There's a lot of people out there that are talking about how they're jealous of us.
They're taught that. This is what you're taught in hypnosis classes. APA is jealous of us. Now, what are they jealous of? What are they jealous? You take the average hypnotist. How many clients do they see a year? How much money do they make a year? The average hypnotist is making under $30,000 a year. There's not much to be jealous of. What the AMA and the APA and all those other organizations are really, when you really look, when you really read their complaints, when you actually read them, not read what somebody trying to get your money says. When you read what they say the training standards are too low and there's no standardized testing. They say there's no way to measure quality. And then you hear hypnotists say, well, you can't. You can't measure this. You can't control what I do. You go, well, psychologists don't act the same. Psychotherapists all don't act the same. Doctors don't act the same. I work with a lot of dentists. They're all very different. And this isn't about what you do in your office. This is about make sure we all know the same information. How many hypnosis courses spend a week on ethics? How many hypnosis courses are there that spend a class on law? We don't have our scope of practice. It's very rare. And that's the stuff that you get tested on. That's the stuff that a certifying or a standardized test could be. Not about when you should use parts therapy versus regression or if NLP is cooler than something else. It's not about the technique. It's about the professionalism and saying, when should you refer out? What is our scope of practice? What do you do if you live in a town of 3,000 people and you're the only hypnotist in the town and your a psychologist you work with says, I'd like you to work with this person, but you happen to know them and they're your neighbor? What do you do in these situations? What do you do when your 15-year-old client says, I smoke pot every day, and then their mom comes in and before she hands you the check says, now did she say she smokes pot? Who do you have confidentiality with? You shouldn't have to make a decision in that. That should be something that you already know. And if someone, there's all these questions that hypnotists aren't taught because we're not required to be taught that. And that's the problem. That right there is the thing that we need to work on, not which technique is cooler. And hypnotists are tricked into believing that hypnosis is magic words, and you learn new spells in a new script book, and someone else came up with a new special technique. And no, it's about the interaction with the clients. And that dynamic process isn't what's trying to be regulated. And I'm not saying I'm pro-regulation or anti-regulation. I really don't know. There's so much misinformation. There's so many really dumb opinions out there about it that to do your own homework on that topic is hard. And I haven't done enough of it. So I'm open-minded, and I like listening to both sides of the argument, especially from people who are smart. And really what it comes down to is the problem those organizations and those people have with hypnosis as a modality isn't that it doesn't work. It's that the people aren't willing to do the work to be taken seriously. It's that we don't deserve to be taken seriously, and they're right. If you say, I'm going to go to school for 6 years to do my job, and you're going to go to school for 100 hours, and you think we should be, I should respect you? No. They've got a great point. And it's not about cutting corners and figuring out what's the easiest way and what you can get away with. And that is my soapbox and rant on that issue.
I'm picturing you like the old days in the 30s when you got the actual politicians on the soapbox and almost the old and the transition from the silent movies to the talkies.
Right.
Sitting there with your bullhorn, slamming your hand up and down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yelling from a podium. No, I mean, I love hypnosis, and I really like the hypnotists I've met, and I love this job. I really do. It's such a fun job, and I think it's a real shame that people are misled into thinking they're ready to do it when they're not. And that's not their fault. They were lied to, and how should they know? But then they go try to start a practice, and it doesn't work. And then they're told what they need is better marketing, but that's not true. What they need is better education. And they don't know that, so they fail. And that's sad. And it's unfortunate that people who want to help others are kept from helping others. I'd like to do whatever I can to fix that, or to be a part of fixing that.
Hey, for anybody listening, if you want to leave any comments, you scroll down below the newsletter subscribe box, we got some comments. So if you have any comments on what we've been talking about, I'd really appreciate it. Because if I don't get comments, I have no idea if people are even checking these podcasts out. With the idea of regulation, it seems like it would almost be a better idea if like you said, if there's like a standardized testing and everybody could self-regulate. So far, HypnoThoughts has done a really, really good job of self-regulation. People are cool. People aren't bad-mouthing each other too much.
Well, HypnoThoughts also is for everybody. And the difference between, one of the major differences between HypnoThoughts and a certifying body is we don't have standards. An organization has to have standards. They have to have, a test or, whatever it is to join. People join HypnoThoughts who don't even want to be a hypnotist. They just join because they think something was neat. And so we're real fortunate that we don't have to enforce anything other than be nice to each other and don't advertise. So it's more complicated to be an organization than to be a website. And I respect the position they're in because of that. But, especially with all these people who are just starting organizations on their websites just so they can say they're presidents of them, and they aren't real organizations. They're not trying to be one. To do it right is a lot of work, and I respect that. To do it right is hard. But, it's worth doing.
It is, indeed. One thing that I like to do that I haven't done in a long time, I can't remember the last podcast I did it, I like doing a little word association. Throw some words out and see what kind of answers they'll get on the fly. You up for it?
Sure. I'm up for it. I like it.
Okay. Scott Sandlin.
Janitor.
Good one. Hypnosis.
Potential.
NLP.
Structure.
Certifying body.
Certifying bodies. Institutions.
NGH.
No comment.
Antonio.
Fun guy.
Oh, that sounds good. Definitely have to leave it off at that one.
All right.
Thank you very much. This has probably been a year and a half in the making, just trying to coordinate our times.
Oh, I'm glad. It's been my pleasure. I'm glad we finally got to it.
Thanks for listening to the Hawaii Hypnosis Podcast. Connect with us at Facebook.com/Hawaii Hypnosis, Twitter.com/Hawaii Hypnosis, and YouTube.com/Hawaii Hypnosis.